Hey everyone, welcome to Youth Bombs. My name is Craig, and we are the voice of young conservatives in Alachua County. Today we're interviewing Judith Jensen, candidate for Alachua County Supervisor of Elections. Thanks for coming on the show, Judith.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So what can you tell us about your background and why you're running?
I am the secretary of the Alachua Republicans here, and I became involved with a number of different campaigns in High Springs, where I live. And for the past couple years, I have been very interested in election integrity efforts. I started with Defend Florida, and the more I dug into past elections, especially the 2020 election, the more questions I had. And the more information I tried to find, it just raised more questions. So when the time came for somebody to stand up for the 2024 election to run against the incumbent who was unchallenged last time, I stepped up because I believe the people of this county had to have a choice this time around.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And some people see some corruption within the office and dislike of the way that the incumbent is operating. What can you tell us about that and how you oppose it?
Well, when you look at many of the headlines that have been in the press, it does raise some suspicions. The question of the felons who were registered to vote in the jails, the running out of ballots. There were just so many things that surfaced that didn't give a lot of confidence in the way that elections are being run here. And, you know, it's easy to dwell on things that the incumbent has done in the past, but really, when I see rocks, you want to turn them over. And if somebody says, "Oh, no, don't turn that one over," that's the one I want to turn over. And so when it comes to things like how the 2020 election was handled, our little group called Impact Alachua has been looking into some statistics on, there's a Form 117 and another one 118, and those talk about list maintenance. And when we look at the list maintenance activities, for example, non-citizens, okay, we went all the way back to 2018, and there were 15 people removed for being non-citizens in 2.5 years. In the past 2 years, and this is the supervisor's own statistics, they have removed 1 in 2 years, which is interesting since we are a sanctuary city here in Gainesville. And all of those people, the millions who have been crossing the border, really only 1 person could be found. And we got a listing of people who denied jury duty because they were non-citizens. And there were people on there that are registered on our rolls. So as we looked at the voter rolls, you know, all these people that are registered in P.O. boxes, we're just questioning the list maintenance. And when we went to the incumbent and asked for a meeting just to talk about how people are removed, a year later, we were never able to even get a meeting with her. And when I had asked about some deceased individuals that I had found over the age of 100 who were still on the voter rolls, the answer that I got was, "I am not scheduling a meeting with you." So it's that reluctance to be transparent that has led me to question, you know, the transparency. I want transparency. I would provide transparency. Elections belong to the people, and it's not the government that runs our elections. The elections, all of the information about the voters belongs to the voters. And it's interesting that the status quo which is the Florida Supervisor of Elections group for the state, is composed of all the incumbents, and it's like a lobbying group, which their 2024 legislative priorities were to exempt all voter information from public record requests and to prevent election workers from harassment, so that if you came up and said, gee, I want more information about this, they could consider that harassment and go after you. As a matter of fact, I went to a signature comparison session for vote by mail ballots, and we saw, like 200 of them, and I challenged 3 of them. Well, at canvassing, they said, oh no, all 3 of them were just fine, and they dismissed my challenges, which, okay, they have other examples of the handwriting that they can compare than what they showed us. But one of my colleagues in another county challenged 41 of them, and they referred her to the police for like a criminal investigation because it was frivolous. And I mean, that could be a misdemeanor or a felony for interfering with somebody's right to vote. So there is not transparency currently. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of blockade in getting information often, which we have found.
Absolutely. Sounds like they're trying to hide things. They don't want people to see what's really going on. What's the biggest way that you could introduce transparency into the office?
Well, what I would like to do is have more involvement with the citizens. And that's what we've been trying to do here with Impact Alachua, is a very robust poll watching and poll working presence. In the past, the Republican Party has not really stepped up to participating. And many of the employees currently for the SOE office are Democrat, and it would be nice to have more of an even representation. I'm not sure why that has happened, but we need people to step up, to participate, to go to canvassing board meetings, to watch the process. And if you look at the audit law, or the post-election audit report, there's 4 little questions, and it just says not applicable, 100%. Looks good. They do one precinct, 1 race. So that was like 400 some ballots that they looked at. That's not adequate to me. I would like to see very robust audits. I would like to see where people at the precinct level are hand counting ballots. And actually, WUFT sent out a survey to candidates asking what would my priorities be. And I said, hand counting to double check the machines, because nobody knows what these machines are programmed to do. We don't know how they're counting and if there's algorithms involved. We were not able to get the cast vote records from this county that 43 other counties provided in Florida, because Dominion doesn't produce that report. So the only way we would know would be to have a hand count audit. And actually, Jeff O'Donnell is a statistician who I was able to get all of the ballot images from the 2020 election from Alachua County, and I got them to him. And we crowdsourced that throughout the United States. People went in and looked at every ballot and recorded what the votes were. And so now, once he's done analyzing this, we will have an actual hand count audit of the entire 2020 election from Alachua County. And I'm certainly hoping that it's exactly what was reported from the machine counts. But see, something like that, with valid statistics is so valuable, where people actually got in there and said, we want the truth, and this is one way of getting it. And that was only the second county in the whole United States, so that's going to be wonderful to have. It might happen that we have that result after the November election, but still, there is that drip, drip, drip of information that's coming from citizens digging in all over this country, trying to find the truth. And if you look at like the Venezuela election, nobody trusted the results from those machines. Puerto Rico had the same problem. But like in France and Taiwan, they had their whole election counted by people. And that's what when I was, a young woman, that's how they counted the elections, was hand counting. It's not a brand new idea. But when I answered that question for the WUFT survey, they put an editor's note on that and said, oh, well, hand counting has been shown to be a bad way of doing it. And I'm like, no, it's 10 times less expensive. It's reliable, it's quick, and, the machines, when they were purchased, were well over $1 million in 2015 when they purchased this. And each machine is like, $9,000, and the batteries are, hundreds of dollars. By the time you add up how much all these machines cost, and to have one guy come and service them, because it's proprietary. You can't just have people come in and service these machines because it's top secret. They charge $2,000 a day just to come in and do anything. So you could have a lot of hand counters for $2,000 a day for one guy. So, I don't agree that hand counting is more expensive. It's very reliable, and lots of other countries use it very successfully. So,
Absolutely. Sounds like they're trying to hide things, that there could be a lot more transparency, that they're just not doing a good job. What would you say best qualifies you to do the job better?
I have skill sets as a nurse. I have earned a master's degree in science, and for most of my career, I was the policy and procedure queen of the various obstetrics units that I worked on, so that I would make sure that all of the policies and procedures had been researched with evidence-based practice, and that every 2 years we would redo them. And I kept track of all of them, and I'm very driven by evidence. So let's find the best ways of doing things. In my practice, it was always wide open. Everyone could see what I was doing, and I was very proud. Obstetrics is the most highly litigious area. And, over all these years that I've practiced, I was never involved in anything questionable. My practice has always been very solid because I follow the rules. And, there are a lot of rules that go with running elections. This is the chapters on how to run elections, the Florida statutes. And, to know them, all of the things that have to do with candidates, about running them, about reporting them, it's very important to follow those statutes. And that's the way I am. My dad was a cop, and I'm very thorough. I'm very passionate. I've been doing this election integrity efforts on my own as a volunteer. Nobody has paid me. It's been a lot of out-of-pocket things. But I so believe in it that I want to do it full-time. And I have managed busy labor and delivery units with all kinds of diverse professionals. I was responsible for their training, their competencies, hiring, evaluating them, getting them to work together excellently and have a terrific result with our patients. So I've done this kind of job before, organizing people and getting high production out of them. So I know that I can do a good job as a supervisor of elections.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm certain that the management really comes into play there and is absolutely critical towards running a good election. Regarding the statutes, looks like there's a lot of them there. Do you believe that the problem is more so they're not being applied properly, or that we need new statutes to make sure our elections are run well?
It's a mixture of both. And the way that the elections are run is determined by statutes. So you have to have, for instance, the citizenship issue. The federal government will say, oh, we that's up to the states to determine whether people are citizens. And the states say, well, we don't have that information. We need it from the federal government. So the state of Florida has to mandate that citizenship must be proven before you can get on the voter rolls. And currently that is not happening. You can go into the Department of Motor Vehicles with your driver's license that was issued to non-citizens. And if you check the little box that says I'm a citizen, because maybe you don't understand that there's a penalty or you don't understand what the language said, you can check that and you can get on the voter rolls, even without good ID. And if you vote by mail, you never have to show an ID. So there's huge gaps. There are, so many loopholes and so many, it's like Swiss cheese, all of the different things that need to be plugged. And there's the Florida Fair Elections Coalition, who's counting.us.us. There's so many groups that are working on UACAVA, the overseas voters, people who are in nursing homes who are having their ballots stolen or voted for them because they have Alzheimer's, things like that. There's so many places that we need to work on, but they try to narrow it down to legislative priorities that will actually get into law and be passed. But then again, the Florida Supervisor of Elections said, we do not want any more changes, and they have lobbyists that and it's not just one political party. The establishment likes it the way it is, and they don't want to change, and they say, oh, it's going to be too expensive to implement those things. But no, if it's got to be right, you do what needs to be done, no matter how much it costs or how much extra work it is or how many things need to be changed. You get it right, and we do need the laws put in place. We need bold leadership on the part of the people who are elected to change these things. But there doesn't seem to be the motivation. People like it the way it is because it got them into the positions they're in. So it's an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's so crazy that they don't even want people questioning these elections, the way that things are so non-transparent and hidden from the voter population. What can people do to learn more and help your campaign?
I am a very grassroots candidate. I do not have large funding behind me. And so it's just the people who hear about me and want to help that have been coming to my rescue. And my website is Vote Jensen, Jensen, 2024.com. There's a donation link there. I can certainly use people that help me get the word out. Campaigns are very expensive, especially county-wide. And I have a Facebook page. So anyone who believes that we should have a choice in this position. Now, the last time this position even showed up on the general ballot was 2004. So it's been 20 years since it was even a contested race. So that's why it was so important to me to be on the ballot, so that people would have a choice. But you can read more about, my experiences and, my family and things at votejensen2024.com. I appreciate people looking into it. I do have my bio page on the Supervisor of Elections website also.
Excellent. Well, you're doing the people's work, Judith, and we really appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Craig.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. If you have any questions or would like to reach out to us, feel free at youthbombs@alachuarepublicans.com. Thanks, everyone, so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Bye.